All right. Welcome to KWBE. It's 2 p.m. on Sunday, March 10th. This is KWBE. You're here. We are coming before you today with another great show, another great guest, one you've seen before, Stacey Lloyd, Captain Stacey Lloyd, Dr. Stacey Lloyd. She's the highest ranking Black female trooper in the New Jersey State Police. And without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring Captain Stacey Lloyd up before you. It's going to be a wonderful show. We've had her on our show twice before. We want to have host her again so that you guys can partake and be blessed. Man, it's going to be a great show. So let's bring up Captain Stacey Lloyd. Are we ready for her? Are we ready for Stacey Lloyd, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, 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 we are ready. Captain Stacey Lloyd. You even got a cheer from the kids, Captain Lloyd. How you doing today?
Good afternoon. I am blessed and highly favored. I can say that. Yes.
Amen.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. We're so glad to have you. Our program today was pre-recorded, but that doesn't stop us from doing some really cool things for y'all today in this program. Captain Lloyd's going to talk about some things she's been involved in, some of which are going to be a blessing for a couple of you. We'll tell you about that later. But first of all, Captain Lloyd's been on our program twice. She was our very first guest way back in January of 2022. Was it 2022? Yes. Yes. She's our very first guest. She's been so gracious. She could be doing so many other things, but she's been so gracious to share the blessing that the good Lord has given her with you and I. And it really is a blessing. And you just stick around and you'll see for yourself. She also came back for our Mother's Day panel last year. That was awesome. So we're going to head into new territory today. Captain Lloyd is going to tell us some things she's been involved in, some things that are not only going to explain to us who she is and how as she continues to develop on this journey, but also how to bless you and your loved one, particularly the younger people, but not only the younger people. Yes. So, Captain Lloyd, let's get to you. What are some of the new and exciting things that you've accomplished or been involved in since we last chatted one-on-one, which was more than a year ago? Let's hear it from you.
So for purposes of this session, I'll be Dr. Stacey Lloyd. I am coming in another capacity today, and it's, of course, connected to my PhD. But for purposes of this, I'll be Dr. Stacey Lloyd. So what have I done? Ed, you know my schedule from day to day. People always ask, how can they think that I have 27 hours in a 24-hour day. So what have I done in a year is just, I don't know. So currently, I am halfway through working on my master's in mental health. And my primary purpose for doing that is I would like to assist law enforcement officers who are faced with mental health crises, as well as at-risk youth who are living in adverse conditions. And I want to be able to assist both of those entities with understanding how they think and to teach them, how to create a narrative based on their life that's positive to get them to the goals that they really want. And so I'm working on that second master's right now. We'll talk about it later, but I wrote a book called The Rest of Our Mind, and it's the officer's pathway to emotional intelligence. It was 2 years worth of research that I conducted. And I actually solicited 4 or 5 authors to help me with this book so that they can write their research from their perspective in law enforcement. And, of course, I added content to every chapter, did best practices and research to identify how we are affected by our internal and external environment. Besides that, I'm still teaching at Howard University. Yes, please.
I am so sorry. Don't lose that thought on Howard University, because we want to be completely blessed But I want to interrupt you because I want to say this book, Arrested by Our Mind. Two questions on that. First, is that your first book? And secondly, is it only for law enforcement officers?
And so, no, it's not my first book. I can say I have 2.5 books. So I wrote the first book that you gave out to some of your listeners, I Can Do It. And that basically is a chronological story of my life and my journey and how I was able to get to where I am now because of my mindset and high levels of emotional intelligence. I collaborated with a group of people and we wrote Flashpoint 2.0, and it basically was short stories detailing, again, some adversities we have faced in our lives and how we got to where we were at that particular moment when we wrote that book. And then I have Arrested by Our Mind. I just finished 4 children's books, which should be ready for print in the next 2 weeks. And it's just, again, short stories teaching students how they, or young people, how they show up emotionally. And so and then I'm starting a new book. It's called The Clash of Two Worlds. And it's a research on how law enforcement officers and students young people living in adversities, how they clash because of their internal makeups and how to bridge that gap based on our thought process. So that's what I'm working on currently.
I have no idea how you pull all of this off. You do have at least 27 hours in a 24-hour day. I don't know how you do it, but it's very impressive. The other thing, well, I'll get to that later, but I just want the audience to know that this book, Arrested by Our Mind, is going to be available. Oh, is it? I might have missed it. Is it just law enforcement people or anybody?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I apologize. So everybody could benefit from this because it basically communicates what happens when we are operating from a stress mindset. So because I'm in law enforcement, I started with the culture of law enforcement, but that can equate and transition to any culture, the nursing culture, education, political, community culture. So I started out talking about our culture and how we get locked into concepts. And I know that anybody can connect to a
law enforcement.
Right. Law enforcement. I know that we all can relate to culture. We all are a part of culture. And then, so from there, that's like the real law enforcement piece. But the other parts talk about the brain and how we think. And then it talks about food for thought, what we eat and how it affects how we show up from day to day. It talks about bullying. And I believe that no matter what profession you're in or community that you live in, how bullying really affects how we show up. Either you're in the in group or the out group, and what happens when you're being ostracized. It covers narcissism. No matter where you are in the world, if we're operating under some type of leadership, narcissism is going to play a role in how some leaders treat people and how we are affected by narcissism. So this book will be, I believe that everybody, no matter where you are in the world, could relate to the concepts, because every group has the different facets connected to it in some shape or form. So yes, everybody can read this book and learn from
Excellent. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get back to where I cut you off, where you were talking about to speak about Howard University. But first thing I want everyone to know is that there's an opportunity to get this book free of charge, as we always do, Arrested by Our Mind by Dr. Stacey Lloyd. And I want to tell you this, and put in a quick plug. I took a course, a class rather, that Dr. Lloyd taught, and it was called Emotional Intelligence. I got a certificate for it and everything, and it was pretty phenomenal. It gave me some food for thought, and that class was well over a year ago, and stuff that I'm still thinking about now that I'm trying to like grapple with even right now. So this lady believes in sharing her blessing. Dr. Lloyd does. She has brilliant writing skills, easy reading, but really some tough material that will penetrate you. I encourage you to go on Amazon and get this book, or you could email us, as that ticker says on the bottom, Kicking It with Brother Ed at yahoo.com. Matter of fact, I'm going to put the email up before we get back to Dr. Lloyd. That's the email, because our program is Kicking It with Brother Ed, but our email is kicking with the G at the end of that word, kicking. Kicking It with Brother Ed at yahoo.com. If you send us an email there, you will be entered into our contest to win the couple of books that we're going to give away. If we run out of books, we're going to do some coupons so you can purchase the book on Amazon. But whether you win or not, get on Amazon and purchase the book. I guarantee you it will not be money lost. It'll be well spent. Anyway, enough of that. Dr. Lloyd, I want to get back to you and where you were talking about, because I cut you off. So just pick up where I think you were getting ready to talk about Howard University.
Yeah, so I currently I serve as a adjunct professor at Howard University. I've actually been there for a little over a year, and I teach problems in the Black community, victimology, race, gender, and sex in the criminal justice system, women in the criminal justice system, victimology. And so, you know, have an opportunity to teach from those perspectives. Again, it covers culture, emotional intelligence, the brain, you know, systemic racism, classism, of course, sexism. And so I have the opportunity to bring the same facet, no matter what course I'm teaching, it really has a base level. It all comes down to how we think about the world and how the world thinks about us, depending on what category you're in. So it all has the same premises and the same base. And the reason why I find that so rewarding is I have the opportunity as a law enforcement officer to bridge that gap, to be transparent, to be vulnerable to young people. And in law enforcement in particular, they keep saying, well, how do we get young people to want to be in law enforcement office departments? Because we are seeing a decrease in applications. I said we have to put ourselves in positions such as education, volunteering, and let them see the human side of who we are. And so that they can understand that law enforcement is what we do, but what we bring to the table in every space that we're in is our innate characteristics. And when they can see that human side, then they're more apt to say, you know what, I could do that, because then I can get into this space. And then I'll let you get to the next question. But as a law enforcement officer, we're invited into spaces that a lot of people are not invited into. They want us to, you know, a lot of people, leaders, they want us to come talk to their young people. They want us to come to their sporting events. We're invited, you know, into spaces where people are at their most vulnerable state in life. And we're hearing a lot of things, and we are responding to assist people in these traumatic situations. And sometimes, and people want us to talk to their kids so that we can possibly divert them from entering a system that will hold them to whatever standard or label for the rest of their lives. So I think it's as really important for me to be in these spaces as an educator, again, so that I can pour into them. And that can probably be one less student that might enter a system that will be detrimental to their success. And so that's like my greatest pride right now, and joy and accomplishment, to be able to speak to young people right now. That's my greatest accomplishment in the course of a year. Go ahead.
Excellent. And do you find that between yourself and your colleagues that you're doing more outreach, you're making more outreach efforts of that nature, where you're going out and you're showing people in the community your human side?
Repeat the question. You were breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, do you find that the state police, yourself and your colleagues, are engaged in more activity of that nature, through which people in the community are getting to witness more of your human side?
Yes, a lot of officers, not just the state police across the country. In fact, I just came from the William Bracey CEO Symposium in Atlanta, and that was a common theme. No matter what board or what panel I listened to, they all were talking about the work that they're doing in their various communities across the country. And they were talking about how they're mentoring and guiding and teaching and you know, just engaging and having real conversations. So I think law enforcement officers across the board are really just putting themselves in spaces so that we can be a people of influence, so that we can change the narrative of how we're seen and viewed throughout the country.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm really glad to hear that. Now, Dr. Lloyd, you've accomplished quite a bit. As I said earlier, you're definitely an individual who has 27 hours in that 24-hour day, because I still don't know, and I've known you a while. I, I don't know how the heck you do it, but to what, if I may ask, do you attribute the many successes you've had in life? Because I know a lot more about you than our viewing audience, and you had much more success than you raise your hand and say on your own. Somebody else usually has to say it. Matter of fact, today is the first day I heard you refer to yourself as Dr. Lloyd, and I know you had technical reasons for it, but I was glad to hear it because you never say it. But what do you owe your so much success?
If I have to be humbled, happy, excited to say, it's my Lord and Savior. It's really Yeshua the Messiah. It's Elohim, our Creator. I feel in my heart of hearts that God has had His hands on me since I was a kid. As far as I can remember, 6 years old. But I always say, I know that somebody prayed for me. I was actually talking to my cousin Rosalie. She's from Tennessee, and she was talking about her life and the challenges she faced, and I was talking about my life. And she said, Stacey, somebody was praying for us. And I truly believe that prayer has transitioned through my DNA. And I always, ever since I was a kid, I said, God, like, I want to, whoever God was to me as a kid, I said, I want to be a person that gives back to the community. I had heard so many stories about, people who came from slavery and was willing to lose their life so that people could be free. And I remember I was about 9 years old. I said, God, I want to do that. I said, God, I want to be that person who's willing to put their life on the line so that people could be free. And I never forgot that I said that, to Elohim. And it was at that point, my life began to change. I remember I said it, and I started working a job. And I'm going to say this, where I lived, there was like a lot of drugs, prostitution, everything. But I used to look at the drug dealers, and they had so much money, always counting their money. And sometimes I had to walk to work because I didn't have any more money. And I remember walking past this one block. I said hi to everybody. I knew them. And I said, God, how come they have money and I don't? Like, how come they have so much freedom and I don't? And I remember the voice of the Lord said to me, it's not what you think, keep going. And I just continued walking that day.
Wow.
And so from that point on, I said, God, I just want to be an agent for change. I just want to do your will. I want people to live on purpose. I want them to reach their goals. I want them to have freedom of thought. And that's my prayer every single day. But from that point forward, I said to God, here I am, send me. I read the stories in the Bible with Moses, when Moses said, well, who should I say sent me when God called him? He said, tell them that I am, and I will be. It said, I am and will be. And I never forgot that God said, I am the I am. And I never forgot that passage that said, here I am, send me. And from that point forward, I said, God, here I am, send me. And from that, God has guided me. There's no doubt in my mind, there's no doubt in my mind that it's God that has allowed me to do as much as I do, right? Greater is He that is in me than he that's in the world. I would sit and I would just write. The other day, when I talk about the 4 children's book, I wrote them all on Friday. I wrote every last one of them in one day. I wrote them on Friday.
Wow.
I said, okay, God, give me something. And then after that, I did my homework. And then after that, I started doing research. After I went to an event at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I went back and I immediately opened up my laptop and I started writing and doing. And so that's the power of God that I've tapped into, that I'm like, God, okay, give me something right now. And an idle mind is the devil workshop. I have opened up my mind to the Father. I won't let it be idle. I'm like, God, what can I do right now? And that's why I'm so busy, because I want to leave this earth empty. I want everything that he's pouring into me.
Yes.
I try to hurry up and get out before I leave this earth. And so it's
Man, let me
by
tell
God
you.
that I'm able to do everything. Mm-hmm.
Amen. Let me tell y'all something. If you're not blessed by now, then something's wrong with you. You need to, if you're on YouTube, you need to rewind that and listen to it again, because I know I was blessed. Now, I've written 2 books myself, and I'm working on a 3rd, but you inspired me to get it going. And I thought most people in our viewing audience know that my last book, I wrote it in 8 days. It took me several months to edit it to where it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Wrote it in 8 days. I thought that was something. This young lady, Dr. Lloyd, wrote 4 books in 1 day. And this is something that I now can see clearly about your life, Stacey, Dr. Lloyd. Right? I see that 27 hours didn't come from you. It came from him. I got it.
Yes.
I got it. Amen.
Yes.
That is so awesome. Now,
yes.
Now moving on, we're running. This should have been an hour program, but we're going to do that next time maybe.
Okay.
But I know that you help a lot of people in a lot of different areas of their lives. I know that. I've seen you do it. I've been alongside you doing it at times. How do you do these things? And you did clear this up some when you gave all credit to the Creator, but I want to hear from your own mouth again. We all do. How do you help all of these people and still maintain your own sanity?
I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that helping people allows me to maintain my sanity. I look at how much work Yeshua the Messiah was able to do in 33 years. And they said all the works that he did, all the books in the world cannot hold all the books that he did. So we only have a glimpse of what he was able to accomplish. And he was always on the move. He was always doing. And we don't even know the extent of how much he was doing. And so I'm always led. I said, God, if I always prayed that God would send the resources to me so that the people who are praying now for resources, he has given me resources to give to them, that I will go through the doors and I would open up the door so that they can walk through. And so when somebody calls me, it's almost like everybody that I'm connected to, God has connected me to something to get them to that thing. So it's so easy for me to help because God has already exposed me to something, whether it's PhDs and masters or exercising or writing books or, learning how to speak in public speaking, whatever it is. God has given me access, and he has opened up those doors, and he sent those people who need those things that I specialize in. It's not just random people that are asking me for things that I have not been privy to. God is sending people to me for things that I've done. And so because I understand the course, I understand the foundation and the layers, he would send those people that are praying for access to me because he has already given me access. And because I have it, now I have it to give. And so that's how I'm able to help, because I've already done the work. God has already given me the access. He's already given me the resource. And now I can be a resource. And now that person is a resource. And I know you have to go, but I wanted to say, God said when Yeshua was on earth, he said, the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. Pray for the laborers. So I have been a laborer. And now I can pour into more laborers who can now open up the door to other people. And that's how it works. So that's how I'm able to maneuver through as much as I do, is because God has already given me access to things, which allows me to give access to other people.
And you have a godly focus on him, which keeps you grounded and keeps your sanity intact.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
But listen, we're almost out of time, unfortunately. There's so much more to say, so much more I wanted to discuss with you. But as always, you have to come back the 4th time.
I will.
So we're going to arrange that. I know you got a lot of things. Say again?
Yes. I said I'll be back. I need to be back because it's just so much. It's so much here that I have to pour. I have
Yes,
to pour. I have to pour. Yes.
yes, you do. Yes, bless your heart. But one last thing. This is the last thing,
Hmm.
and then I'm gonna put you in the studio because we have some other things to discuss briefly afterwards.
Okay.
Now, you've accomplished a lot. Again, what kind of advice would you provide to younger or maybe even older people who are struggling with their personal progress right now? They don't know whether they should go to the left or to the right. What kind of advice would you give them?
The one thing I've been saying, I do a prayer group every morning, 7 days a week. We have a prayer group, and we call ourselves
Excellent.
the prayer warriors. But the one thing that I say to them is every day you have to introduce new information into your mind. If you're struggling in an area, identify new information that'll assist you with changing that thought. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. How do you renew your mind? You have to introduce new
Yes.
information. So daily, I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, introduce some new information that'll get you where you need to be. There's a physical component to the brain that transform how you think in order to get you to where you are. So be intentional about your day, be focused, be deliberate, but most importantly, be disciplined. And if you're disciplined and learning new information, you will notice that you will be on the road less traveled, right? Narrow is the gate that leads to life. It's hard. If you find it, you'll be on the road that's less traveled. Just start introducing new information, and that will change how you show up from day to day. And that's what I would recommend.
Man, that is great stuff. I hope y'all were listening. I hope you got it. And if you didn't get it, you rewind and get in the drawing for this book. Again, we're going to give away a couple of three of those, and we'll give away coupons if it's an overload. We want people to respond to this. You just
Yeah.
send us an email at that address. We're not trying to collect your information or anything. We just want you to put forward the effort. One thing Dr. Lloyd talked about was having that discipline. Okay. We want you to have the discipline to put forth the effort to send us an email. And that's all you got to
Yes.
do. Send us an email, and we're going to send you the book and or a coupon to purchase the book, or at least it'll pay for most of the book. The coupon will. But the book itself is going to be autographed by Dr. Lloyd to you personally if you're one of our winners. So send us an email and do it now. Don't wait. Okay. So we're going to say so long to Dr. Lloyd. Again, I need her to stay in the
Thank you.
studio waiting room. We got a couple of things to go over real quick. We love you, Dr. Lloyd. We so appreciate
Thank
you and
you.
all of those
Thank you.
nuggets you shared. And we can't
Yes.
wait
Thank
till
you.
you come back.
Thank you.
God bless you. So, family, I want to go over a few things that we got going on. First of all, speaking of book writing rather, we're going to be at Jesus Book and Gift Store on this coming Saturday. I believe it's the 16th. Yeah, the 16th. It's in Route 1 in Island or Woodbridge if you prefer, 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. We're going to be there, and we're going to be discussing our book and making the book available for purchase. It's called the original copy was finally revealed, 666, the mark of the beast, but the new one is understanding the mark of the beast, because that's what it's all about. It's about understanding. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. That's the back cover of the book. Come down to Jesus Book and Gift Store, 675 Route US 1, and that's in Island or Woodbridge if you prefer to use Woodbridge on your GPS, whatever the case may be. We look forward to you coming down. We are celebrating. Well, let me give you this first. We're going to, this is the new book cover, Understanding the Mark of the Beast, written by yours truly. But we're going to be celebrating Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday at Grace Baptist Church, 811 King George's Road in Forge, New Jersey. We want y'all to come out and enjoy it with us if you don't have anywhere to go. And we're going to be out. We're going to be out right now very soon. There's the music. We're leaving you in a couple of seconds. Don't forget, to get Dr. Lloyd's book, all you got to do is send us an email. And if you're one of the first ones to do that, we're going to get it to you. But if you're not one of the first ones, go on Amazon. It is time for me to go. So I'm going to bid you a fond adieu. Enjoy the rest of your week. Put God first. Much love and God bless.